Have you ever felt like the information you need is hidden behind, like, all these crazy codes and languages?
Yeah, like a book written in hieroglyphics or something. So
Exactly.
you can't read it.
And that's the problem with trying to get to data today.
Right.
It's a real database of babble out there.
Yeah.
But luckily, we have some research and articles today that are all about a potential solution called SWIRL.
Okay.
And this could change everything.
It really is a fascinating development.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to get information from just a random mix of SQL dialects,
Yeah.
SPARQL for knowledge graphs,
Right.
and goodness knows what else.
Right.
And SWIRL says it can just cut right through all of that
Yeah.
and lets you query any database just using like normal language,
Oh, that's amazing.
like everyday language.
So our sources kind of paint this picture of a very real problem where there are all these different databases,
right.
but they all speak different languages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So even if you know some SQL, you could still run into problems if you need something from, say, a graph database using SPARQL.
Yeah, and it's not even just the different languages. It's also just like,
Or where is it?
where is it?
Right. Like,
exactly.
which one?
Yeah.
Which one am I supposed to use?
One of the sources actually uses this example of a sales manager
Okay.
who is trying to compare revenue across regions.
Okay.
But the data is split between Snowflake and SQL Server.
Ugh.
Each one is using its own type of SQL.
Oh, gosh.
So just imagine the headache.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to deal with that.
No.
That's for sure.
Or think about like a research team
Okay.
that's trying to map relationships in a knowledge graph.
Yeah.
They're stuck with SPARQL.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's the worst.
Instead of focusing on like the research itself.
Exactly.
It's just a huge drain on time and resources.
Totally.
So how does SWIRL propose to fix this?
Well, the key here is that SWIRL wants to be like a universal translator for databases.
Oh, wow.
So you just type in your question in plain English,
Uh-huh.
and SWIRL will just figure out which database to go to
Okay.
and how to translate your request into the right code.
Gotcha.
So whether it's SQL, SPARQL, or whatever else.
So you don't need to be fluent in every single database language.
Well,
That sounds like a serious game changer for a lot of people.
oh, yeah, definitely.
So tell me, how does this actually work? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on under the hood?
So this is where it gets really smart.
Okay.
SWIRL uses natural language processing.
Okay.
It's a type of artificial intelligence that helps computers to understand human language.
Wow.
So it analyzes your request,
Uh-huh.
breaks it down, and then maps those concepts to the right database structure and query language.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But different SQL dialects can be so nuanced.
Yeah, they are.
And SPARQL is a completely different thing.
Absolutely.
So how does SWIRL handle all that complexity?
Well, that is one of the most impressive things about it. The developers trained SWIRL on a massive amount of data.
Wow.
So all kinds of schemas and query examples.
Yeah.
So now it can identify the tiny differences between dialects
Okay.
and then accurately translate your requests.
Wow.
It's like having a whole team of data analysts
Really?
ready to translate any question that you have.
That's incredible.
It's pretty neat.
So if I'm understanding this correctly,
Yeah.
SWIRL allows anyone to get answers from any database,
Yeah.
no matter their technical skills.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it takes away the need for specialized knowledge
Right.
and makes data available to way more people.
This is where I think it gets really exciting.
Yeah.
The source material dives into this idea of the future of database search
Okay.
and talks about this idea of data democratization.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where, like, marketers, salespeople, product managers, anyone
Anyone can get to the data.
can just query data themselves,
Right.
test their assumptions,
Yeah.
and make data-driven decisions.
Without having to go to IT or a data analyst?
Exactly.
That's a huge shift.
It is.
But let's back up for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about SWIRL working with existing databases.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean that companies don't have to change anything?
That is one of the best things about it.
Okay.
There's no need to move
Yeah.
data
Right.
or change systems.
Right. Which can be expensive and a pain.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So you just basically layer SWIRL on top,
Okay.
and it just works.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about making data readily available.
Yeah.
But obviously that brings up the question of security.
Of course.
What does the source material say about how SWIRL handles this?
Well, security is super important.
Right.
And SWIRL takes this very seriously.
Okay.
It operates on a zero-trust model.
Okay.
So that means that it doesn't trust anyone automatically.
Right.
It double-checks every request very carefully, and it makes sure that people can only see the data that they're supposed to see.
So it's not just letting everyone see everything.
No.
Yeah.
It's still very controlled.
Okay.
So it's about finding the right balance
Yeah.
between letting people get to the data,
Right.
but also keeping things safe and secure.
Gotcha.
And it looks like SWIRL has found a good way to do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's go back to those examples we were discussing.
Okay.
The sales manager and the research team.
Yeah.
How would things be different for them if they were using SWIRL?
Well, the sales manager would be able to pull up those reports instantly
Okay.
without having to write anything complex
Right.
or bug IT to get it for them.
Right.
And the research team could finally look at the connections in their knowledge graph
Right.
and not have to deal with Sparkle.
That's great.
Yeah.
It sounds like SWIRL could really change how we interact with data.
I think it really could.
Yeah.
It's not just about making things easier. It's about giving people the power to ask questions,
Yeah.
to really look into the data
Yeah.
and find things that they never would have seen before.
I'm curious, what do you find most intriguing about SWIRL?
What fascinates me the most is that it can really level the playing field.
Okay.
Right now, if
Yeah.
you want to work with data,
Yeah.
you need specialized skills.
Yeah.
But with SWIRL, that might not be necessary anymore.
Wow.
And that opens up so many possibilities
Yeah.
for people and for companies.
It's like we're moving away from these data gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Where only a few people can access it.
Right.
To a world where data is truly open to everyone.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And that could really change how we solve problems, how we make decisions,
Right.
and how we innovate in every industry.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So if you're listening and you've ever felt frustrated by data silos, or
Right.
you've been held back because you don't have enough technical expertise, SWIRL might be exactly what you've been waiting for.
For sure.
We'll go deeper into how this technology could impact things
Okay.
and what it means for the future of data
Awesome.
in the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff.
It really is.
Okay, so stay tuned.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like we're giving everyone a key
Yeah,
to unlock these data vaults that they couldn't get to before.
it's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it could really change things.
Right.
One of the sources actually mentions this key point.
Okay.
It shouldn't be about, mastering all this complex syntax,
Right.
like SQL or Sparkle.
Right.
It should be about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And that's something that everyone can learn,
Right.
no matter what their background is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you can ask the question,
Yeah.
then SWIRL can take care of the rest and
Sure.
give you the answer.
And this opens up all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, like what?
Well, imagine a marketing team that can instantly see how their campaigns are doing.
Okay, across all the different platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or a product team
Yeah.
that can test how users are behaving
Okay.
in real time.
Wow.
Getting that kind of immediate feedback
Yeah.
could totally change how decisions are made.
In the whole company?
Yeah, throughout the whole organization.
So we're talking about a whole new era of self-service analytics.
You could say that.
Yeah.
It's about giving people the power
Yeah.
to explore the data themselves when
Yeah.
they need it,
Right.
not having to wait for someone else.
Okay, let's not get too carried away here.
Okay.
The sources do say no more guesswork. And while that sounds great,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's always a risk of oversimplifying.
Yeah, I agree.
SWIRL is a powerful tool,
It is.
but we need to remember
Yes,
that understanding the data still requires critical thinking.
absolutely.
Just because you can ask a question and get an answer
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that answer is going to be helpful
Right. You need to know what to do with it.
or that it's even the right answer.
Exactly.
So how do we prevent people from
Yeah.
coming to the wrong
Yeah,
conclusions?
that's where education comes in.
Okay.
And having a good data culture.
Yeah.
Companies need to not only give their teams the tools,
Right.
but also teach them how to use those tools properly,
Right.
how to understand the data.
So it sounds like SWIRL could actually be a good tool for data literacy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Instead of spending all that time teaching people code,
Right.
you can teach them how to ask the right questions,
Yeah.
how to see patterns,
Okay.
and how to make sense of the data.
So SWIRL could help get everyone on the same page
Exactly.
when it comes to understanding data.
Yeah. And that leads to better decisions across the board.
Now, the source material also talks about how SWIRL could impact different industries.
Yeah.
What are some areas where you think this technology could really make a difference?
Well, healthcare is a big one. Imagine doctors being able to instantly look up patient records
Okay.
and the latest research
Right.
right there in the moment.
Okay.
Or researchers analyzing clinical trial data as it's happening.
Right.
This could really speed up medical advancements and lead to more personalized care.
What other sectors come to mind?
Well, financial services is another one.
Okay.
Imagine real-time fraud detection,
Okay.
risk analysis,
Yeah.
personalized financial advice.
Wow.
It could even make all the regulatory stuff easier,
Right.
like reporting and compliance.
So the possibilities are endless.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's really about giving people the power to solve problems
Yeah.
that they couldn't solve before,
Yeah.
whether it's healthcare,
Yeah.
business, or research.
It's not just about convenience then.
Right.
It's about unlocking new potential.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this so exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
So for our listeners out there, if you've ever felt limited by your access to data, or you just don't have the technical skills,
Right.
SWIRL represents a real change.
It does.
It shows that data is becoming more accessible to everyone.
And that data-driven decisions
Yeah.
are within reach for everyone.
It's like when the internet first became popular,
Yeah.
and suddenly everyone had all this information at their fingertips.
It's a great comparison.
Yeah.
Just like the internet changed how we communicate, SWIRL could change how we use data.
In every part of our lives.
Absolutely.
And what's so interesting here is that we're not talking about replacing the systems we already have.
Right.
We're not getting rid of databases.
No.
We're building something that helps us understand them better.
Yeah, making them easier to use.
Right.
More intuitive.
Yeah.
Helping us talk to them.
We've been talking about the big picture, but let's bring it down to a personal level.
Okay.
The source material talks about being able to ask any question
Yeah.
and get an instant answer. What do you think about that?
For me, it's about the possibilities.
Okay.
Imagine being able to instantly test an idea
Yeah.
or see if your hunch is right
Yeah.
without having to worry about the technical stuff.
Right.
It's about being curious
Yeah.
and having the freedom to explore the data.
So it's like having a direct line to the answers
Exactly.
without needing anyone to translate for you.
And that could lead to amazing discoveries
Yeah.
and a better understanding of everything around us.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
We've talked about the problem,
Yeah.
the solution,
Uh-huh.
and what SWIRL could mean for the future.
Yeah.
But now it's time to think about you.
Okay.
What questions would you ask if you had this power? What would you want to learn? That's a really good question.
Yeah, it is.
And the answer might surprise you. It
Exactly.
could lead you down a path you never expected.
Exactly. That's how knowledge works, right? It
Yeah.
always takes you in new directions.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We had.
We've talked about how hard it can be to access data
Right.
and how SWIRL could help us overcome those challenges.
And I think the most important thing to remember here is
Right.
this isn't just about some new technology.
Yeah.
It's about giving people the power to do more.
Exactly.
SWIRL is a tool,
Yeah.
but the real change comes from how people use it.
Right. Using it to ask questions.
Exactly.
To challenge what they think they know.
Yes.
And to discover new insights that can really make a difference.
And maybe even change the world.
The source material actually uses this phrase.
Okay.
Putting an end to the babble of query dialects.
Okay.
And experiencing the future of database search.
Wow, that's a big statement.
It is a big statement.
But I do think it shows the potential here.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where anyone can use data,
Yeah.
not just the technical experts.
Right. Anyone with a question can find the information they need
Exactly.
and make better decisions.
That's a future I think we should all be working towards.
It does feel like we're on the verge of a huge change
Yeah.
in how we use data.
Yeah.
We started with punch cards, then moved to spreadsheets.
Right. Then came the databases.
And now with SWIRL, it feels like we're taking a big step forward.
Yeah, towards something that's much more intuitive,
Right.
more human.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting development.
It is.
And I think it shows how important it is
Yeah.
to keep pushing the boundaries,
Keep like finding new ways.
to connect with all this data.
Yeah, the data that's all around us.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into SWIRL
Okay.
and the future of database search, let's leave our listeners with one last thought.
Okay.
We've talked about the potential,
Yeah.
possibilities,
Uh-huh.
and the power that comes with having easy access to data.
Right. But the real question is,
What will you do with that power?
Yeah.
What questions will you ask?
what will you discover?
The answers are out there.
They are?
And with tools like SWIRL on the horizon, the only limit is your curiosity.
And that's a great place to end it.
It is.
Embrace your curiosity.
Yeah.
Explore the data.
Yeah.
Who knows what you might find?
The journey is just beginning.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring.